list 1 and list 2. So in list 1, giving fusion of protoplasm between gametes, fusion of two nuclei, generation of haploid spores. In list 2, given meiosis, plasmogamy, karyogamy. So here choose the correct answer from the given below. So these questions which came from biological classification. Which questions came from biological classification. So in biological classification, these questions mainly focus on fungal sexual reproduction. Right. So what exactly here explanation for this fungal sexual reproduction? Generally, sexual cycle of fungi involve three important steps. So in fungal sexual reproduction, there are three important steps are involved. First one, plasmo. So plasmo means protoplasm, gamy means fusion. So here plasmogamy means fusion of proto between motile or non-motile gametes. So between motile or non-motile gametes, there is a fusion of protoplasm. For example, here, if you have gamete, male gamete like this, for example, it is a male gamete or it is a female gamete. So male represent and female represent. See, male gamete and each gamete has centered nucleus. And here, these two gametes protoplasm are fused. After fuse, like this. So the nucleus. So this is what fusion of protoplasm of this motile or non-motile gametes called plasmogamy. And this plasmogamy then followed second steps. So that is karyo. So here gamy means fusion, karyo means nucleus. In which what happened? In which fusion of nucleus of both gametes, either motile or non-motile gametes. So here next step what happened? So here these two nucleus together fuse and there is a formation of one structure. So this formed structure actually it is a n haploid gametes are present and here there is a formation of diploid structure called zygote. So zygote always diploid structures. So after formation of zygote, then this zygote which enter. So here fusion of nucleus of both gametes result what? Result to formation of zygote. Now this zygote later undergoes another and the last step, third steps, that is meiosis. So generally in meiosis what? Generally meiosis occur in zygote. So once the meiosis occur in zygote, then it form haploid. So haploid spores always have N. So likewise fungus perform its sexual reproduction by these three important steps. So by this here, if you see the match of the following questions here, so here fusion of protoplasm called here A and A. Here choose the A2. Here we have A2 and a fusion of two nuclei called karyogamy. B and generation of haploid spore by meiosis from zygote means C1. So right answer is third one. Now we move on another important MCQs which is asked in NEET exam. So that is 97th one. So this is the statement type of questions they ask. So first of all we need to read those MCQs, then we have to do analysis. So here, so given below are two statements. Giving two statements. So statement one, in gymnosperm, the male and female gametophytes remain within sporangia. In gymnosperm, seeds are here. Seeds are not covered. Okay, right. So in the light above the above statement, choose the most appropriate answer. Here we need to choose most appropriate answer from the option given below. So before we discuss here, let's start. So these questions which came from the plant kingdom. Yeah, just wait. Yeah. So these questions came from plant kingdom. So in plant kingdom, it focus only on gymnosperm plant. So here, literal meaning of gymnosperm. The literal meaning of gymnosperm. Gymno means naked. Sperm means seeds. The sperm means seed. Gymno means naked. So here, literally, the gymnosperms are nothing but naked seeds. Why they naked means generally in which ovules are not enclosed by ovules are not covered by ovary, why? Because ovary is absent in gymnosperm. Ovary is absent, hence this ovary which not enclose this ovule, so ovule remain naked. Why? Because after fertilization, here after fertilization the ovule become seed and the ovary become fruit. Hence, after fertilization, the ovule becomes seeds. But here, absence of ovary, hence there is no fruits are formed in gymnosperm plants. So likewise, there is a presence of naked seeds, means in which the ovules are not covered with any layer. Means here ovary is not enclosed this ovule. Hence they are naked seeds. So in which the first statement is true statement. The gymnosperm seeds are not covered. Yes, the statement 2 is right. So here by using elimination method we have to do how means statement 2 is right one. So statement 2 is true. So here asking in first statement in first MCQs here statement 2 is incorrect means actually statement 2 is correct now. So we need to remove this one. We need to eliminate this one, and statement 1 is incorrect but statement 2 is correct. Just wait, and then here sorry. Yeah, so here both statement 1 and statement 2 are incorrect, but and the fourth option is both statements are correct. So let's start. And about this statement 2, in gymnosperm the male and female gametophytes remain within this parenchyma. Yes, why? Because unlike bryophytes and pteridophytes, here unlike bryophytes and pteridophytes, bryophyte and pteridophytes, in gymnosperm, in gymno the male and female gametophyte do not have independent free living existence. They do not have free living existence. So hence they remain within the sporangia of sporophytes of gymnosperms. So this statement is also true. So both statement 1 and both statement 2 are true. So hence the right answer is fourth one. Both statement 1 and statement 2 are both statements are true. Yes. So here statement here both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct. So third option is right. Okay. Right. Now we move on another important MCQs. 98th. In water, frog respire using lungs, trachea, skins, and buccal cavity. So here frog respire in water. Generally, these questions came from animal kingdom. These questions came from animal kingdom. So in animal kingdom, these questions frame from frog respiration, frog respiratory system. Okay, done. So generally, frog exhibits different mode of respiration depending on their environment. For example, if the frog which is in water, which is living in water, then they respire through skin. Act as skin act as a respiratory organ. If the respiration occur through skin, such type of respiration is called cutaneous respiration. So this cutaneous respiration through the skin occur by a process called diffusion process. Very important. So in which the process involved, that is diffusion. So the respiration in water taking place through the skin, such type of respiration is called cutaneous respiration. It is only in water. Now if the frog which is on land, so on land the frog respire through three different organs. They respire through buccal cavity, and they also respire through skin on land also. They also respire through lungs. Very important, lungs. Okay. So if on land if the frog which is present on the land, they can respire through these three important organs: buccal cavity, skins, and lungs. So this type of respirations together called pulmonary respiration. So likewise the frog can perform various types of mode of respiration based depending on their environment they are present. Okay. So once you look at here in these questions, in water, here asking only in water frogs respire using skin. Here right answer is skin. So the respiration through skin is called cutaneous respiration. By which process? Diffusion. By diffusions. So this is all about the 98th questions. Okay. So 99th questions. Here mad cow disease is caused by options: aspergillus, mycoplasma species, prions, and viroids. And these questions which frame from biological classification. In biological classification, these questions which is mainly focus on acellular organisms, in which that is prions. Generally there are, according to R.H. Whitaker, he classified living organism into 5 kingdoms, but this prions, viroids, virus, and lichens, they does not place because of they doesn't have any cell structures. Hence they place as a separate group we will study. So these questions which frame from this prion. Yes. So let's discuss some importance of prions. Generally here the prions are abnormally folded proteinous structures. Abnormally folded proteinous structures without nucleic acids. Very important. Here note generally virus. So what is virus here? Viruses are nucleostructures. Means they made up with both nucleic acids and proteins. Here proteins is always called capsids. For example, it is a structure of virus, so in which we have this protein and inside protein called nucleic acid. Now this is the structure of virus. So virus contain both proteins and nucleic acids. Now coming to one more important organism, that is virides. So virides is only nucleic acid structures without protein. For example, like this. So it is a nucleic acids, so around which it doesn't have any protein or capsids. Such type of organisms is called virides. But now coming to prions are only proteinous structure, but inside the protein we don't have any nucleic acid. Now it is a, that's why we can use the term abnormally folded proteinous structures without nucleic acids. Here inside protein we doesn't have any nucleic acid. Such type of organisms are called prions. Now these prions was discovered by Prusiner. This discovered by Prusiners. Generally this prion cause disease to the animals. It cause disease to the animals. Hence this prions also called animal virus, animal disease virus. Generally there are few important NCRT diseases which is caused by the prion, in which most important disease, that is BSE. Here BSE means bovine spongiform encephalo, so also known as mad cow disease. And one more disease, that is CJE, CJD, Crow Jacob disease, which is caused to the human being. So likewise there are various diseases which caused by the prions. So here asking mad cow disease is caused by the whom? Prions. Just now we discussed virides are the just only nucleic acid structures without protein, and these virides can cause a disease, and this virus cause disease to the plant, hence they are called plant viruses. And generally these virides discover, mostly these virides cause a disease to the potato tuber. Hence here one disease is called PSTD, potato spindle tuber disease, caused by these virides. And these virides discovered by Theo Diner scientist. Now coming to the mycoplasma. So mycoplasma is the smallest living organism without cell wall. We already made a video on mycoplasma. Please watch that video in my channel, Mahadyuth Academy channel. Okay, we made 20-30 minutes video lecture on this mycoplasma. So it is the smallest living organism without cell wall. Okay, and aspergillus is a nothing but it is a one type of fungi. It is a one type of fungi. So in fungi, generally this aspergillus belongs to the Ascomycetes group. Okay, so here the mad cow disease caused by these prions. So right answer is prions. Okay, next 100 questions. Sorry, yes. Okay, yeah. So here 101. So which of the following statement regarding photorespiration are correct? So here photorespiration. So photorespiration nothing but, and these questions which came from plant physiology. In plant physiology they focus in photosynthesis, they focus on a cycle called photo, or also called C2 cycle or glycolide cycle. Let's start some importance on these questions here. Sorry, yeah. So here generally, here I am explaining photo. So generally photorespiration occur in C3 plant only, does not occur in C4 plant. Why? Because why C4 plant? In C4 plant, why it does not occur means, in C4 plant it develop a special mechanism, so that is called Cranch anatomy. Hence in C4 plants C2 cycle does not occur, and due to this Cranch anatomy, which increase the carbon dioxide concentration, so hence the Rubisco enzyme binds to the carbon dioxide, then it start the C3 cycle only. Okay, or C3 pathway in C4 cycle. Yes, and here, so what is the condition which favor this photorespiration means, generally in which here in this pathway the condition, here the condition for photorespiration, high oxygen level and less carbon dioxide level, and in this condition only this Rubisco enzyme act as oxygenase enzyme. Generally Rubisco is the most abundant enzyme in the world. Very important point here, most abundant enzyme in the world. And generally this Rubisco has dual function, dual role or dual function. It can act oxygenase and also it can act carboxylase. When it acts oxygenase, it binds to the oxygen. When it act carboxylase, then it binds to the carbon dioxide. So here the criteria, the condition is when there is a high oxygen level, less carbon dioxide, this Rubisco act as only oxygenase enzyme like this. So when oxygenase enzyme act by this Rubisco, then which bind the RUBP, 5 carbon compound RUBP with the oxygen molecule in presence of this Rubisco. When it act as a oxygenase, then it result to form one molecule of 3-PGA phosphoglyceric acid or phosphoglycerate and one molecule of 2-PG phosphoglycolate. Very important. 2 molecule of phosphoglycolate. So this phosphoglycolate has only 2 carbon, PGA has 3 carbon. Likewise, 3 plus 2, 5 carbon compound RUBP formed from this when the Rubisco which bind the oxygen to the RU. So in name only it suggests. Why? Because here 2 carbon compound PG will form. Hence, this cycle is also called C2 cycle. Okay, right. So generally we know that in photosynthesis what happened? In photosynthesis, carbon dioxide consumption occur and oxygen is released. Yes, but in photorespiration what happened? In which oxygen is consumed instead of releasing, carbon dioxide will become released. So this is happen. Okay, and in this pathway there is no use. Why? Because in this pathway there is no synthesis of energy in the form of ATP and NADPH, and also there is no synthesis of food. Hence this photorespiration process is said to be as a wasteful process, and this statement was given by the scientist called War. Okay, so this is all about the photo. Now if we see the options here, look at the option here. Okay, fine. So just wait. Yeah, yes. Okay, so first option, do not occur in C3 plant. So generally does not occur in C4 plant. So this statement is what? Wrong. So do not occur in C3. No, it is C photorespiration do not occur in C4 plants. Means this statement is wrong. Carbon dioxide is consumed and oxygen is generated. No. In photorespiration what happened? Oxygen is consumed here. Oxygen is consumed, carbon dioxide is generated. Yes. Oxygen is consumed and carbon dioxide released. And this statement is completely for carbon dioxide consumed, oxygen is generated, means that is photosynthesis. But in option is there, carbon dioxide is consumed, oxygen is generated, that is photosynthesis. But in photorespiration, oxygen is consumed, carbon dioxide is generated, loss. So this statement is also wrong. Now coming to third, see, phosphoglycolate is formed. Yes, phosphoglycolate means PG. Here see, so just now we discuss here, PG will form 2 carbon compound here. 2 carbon compound PG will form. Where? Yeah, here. So yeah. So one molecule of 3 PG form and 1 molecule of 2 carbon compound, that is PG will form. So by in photorespiration there is a formation of what? Phosphoglycolate will form. This statement is right. No synthesis of ATP and NADP. Just now discussed. By this process there is no synthesis of ATP, NADP and food. And this statement is also right. So here choose the correct answer. So here statement C and D is right answer. So here C and D is the only right answer. Okay. If you know any one among this right answer, also we can use the eliminate method. Why? Because already we know that A is completely absent. Sorry, it is wrong. Why? Because C2 cycle which occur only in C3 plant. But here asking about do not occur. So this statement is right. Wrong. So A, here we have, here A also is there. So A is completely wrong now. Hence we can eliminate these two. And there we have two choices, 1 and 4. So then we go for another statement in which if you see this statement and if you know the right answer from these questions, any one from C or D, then we can easily make the right answer. Okay, so this is all about the 100 questions answer. So about photo, so the right answer is here, fourth one, C and D. Yes. So next one, 101 question here. Select the correct sequence of experiment. Here we need to have sequence of experiment that lead a gradual understanding of photosynthesis in green plants. So these questions which frame from again from photo means plant physiology. In plant physiology, photosynthesis. In photosynthesis, generally which is historical background of photosynthesis. Historical background. So there are various scientists, they perform various experiment on photosynthesis. So here we need to discuss about them. Then we do this right answer. Yes. let's start some explanation on this important MCQs. Generally here, the first and most important scientist, he said he did an experiment on photosynthesis. That is, he was only Joseph Priestley. First experiment carried by the Joseph Priestley. So he carried his experiment on 1717, and he's the only person he discovered oxygen. Yes, right. And he performed Bell jar experiment. He performed Bell jar experiment. So by Bell jar experiment, he revealed the essential role of air. He revealed the how air play important role. Essential role of air, very important. He revealed the essential role of air in the growth of green plants. And Joseph Priestley experiment was continued by another scientist called John Ingenhouse, and he performed Hydrilla experiment. Hydrilla, it is an aquatic plant. Hydrilla is an aquatic plants. So Hydrilla experiments. So by this experiment, he proved sunlight is essential to the plant. Sunlight is essential to the plant that process the air, purifier air. He introduced purifier air concept. In presence of sunlight play important role. Okay, how means, and while he conduct experiment, Hydrilla experiment, he placed two setup. One setup in presence of sunlight, another one is in absence of sunlight. And when it placed one setup in presence of sunlight, and there is a formation of some bubble-like structures. So these bubbles, which represent the evolving of oxygen. So this oxygen is said to be as a purifier air, which is formed only during photosynthesis. That only when there is a presence of sunlight only. So this concept was given by this John Ingen, and later another scientist called Julius Van Sack. So here remember J cube. Why? Because Joseph Priestley, John Ingenhouse, and one more scientist Julius Van Sack. In 1854, he provided evidence for the production of glucose, how glucose will be produced. He provided evidence for glucose production. By photosynthesis, glucose will produce, no? So that how glucose will be produced, he gave a evidence. Okay, and so the produced glucose we store in the form of starch in chloroplast. He said only the produced glucose by photosynthesis process, this glucose will store in the form of starch in chloroplast. Later, and the last most important scientist, and that is T.W. Engel. So T.W. Engelman used visible spectrum, sorry, not visible, action spectrum or absorption spectrum. He performed absorption or action spectrum and a green algae, that is cladophora. So in which he explained how light wavelength or spectra will play important role in production of photo. So likewise there are various scientists, they perform various experiment on photosynthesis. So by looking here options, so first release of oxygen and production of glucose, absorption spectra of chlorophyll and B, and role of air. So here Joseph Priestley, what he said, essential of air. Okay, essential of air means he explained the role of air. He explained, Joseph Priestley explained what? Role of air. He explained role of air by conducting bell jar experiment. So first option here must and should be role of air. So here we have role of air. And then John Ingenhouse performed a Hydrilla experiment, and he proved that sunlight is essential for the plant for process of purifier air. Next, in purifier air means definitely the oxygen is released here, and he also observed there are some bubble like structure which is formed in presence of sunlight. The bubble is nothing but oxygen. So release of oxygen said by the John Ingenhouse. And later there is a production of glucose, and this statement said by the Julius Van Sack. And later T.W. Engelman said absorption spectra of chlorophyll A and B in different wavelength spectrum, and hence he performed absorption action spectrum. So the right answer is only fourth one. So one more MCQs here, one or two. How many terms of Kelvin cycle are required? Here Kelvin means C3 cycle. Required for the formation of 3 molecules of glucose. So these questions are framed from plant physiology only. Plant physiology. In plant physiology, it focuses on photo. In photosynthesis, it is completely from C3 or Kelvin cycle related. Kelvin cycle. Let's analyze these questions. So in questions asking how many terms of Kelvin cycle are required for the formation of 3 molecules of glucose. For the formation of 3 molecules of glucose, how many terms of Kelvin cycles are required? First of all, we need to know in Kelvin cycle, generally we start with fixation of carbon dioxide. For example, for fixation of one carbon dioxide, fixation of one molecule of carbon dioxide, then it perform one turn of Kelvin cycle. But there is no production of glucose for one turn of Kelvin cycle. If there is a fixation of 6 carbon dioxide, then it turns 6 turn of Kelvin cycle or C3 cycle, then it result to formation of one molecule of glucose. So for the formation of one molecule of glucose, we require 6 molecule of carbon dioxide and it turn 6 of Kelvin cycle. So it means that for formation of one molecule of glucose, we required how many turn? 6 turn of C3 cycle or 6 molecule of carbon dioxide. So in questions here asking about for the formation of 3 molecules of glucose. For the formation of 3 molecules of glucose, how many terms of Kelvin cycles are required? So simple, we have to do multiple cross like this, multi-cross. So here 6 into 3 by 1. 6 3 is 18. So here 18 turns of C3 cycle are required. Or simply we can use 18 carbon dioxide are required for the formation of 3 molecule of glucose. So here answer is 18 term of C3 cycles are performed to produce 3 molecule of glucose. Why? Because for one molecule of glucose required 6 turn or 6 carbon dioxide. So hence 3 molecule of glucose required 18 turn or 18 carbon dioxide. So that's the answer. So here right answer is 18. Okay. Right. So one more important MCQs here we need to discuss. Next 103. Here question is mitochondrial inner membrane encloses. So these questions are framed from cell, the unit of life in which they frame from the mitochondria cell organ. So generally mitochondria is known as the power of the cell. Already we made a video on this mitochondria. Please watch this video in my YouTube channel, powerhouse of the cell. And generally mitochondria are the double membrane bound cell organelle, means they contain two membrane, and this double membrane bound of cell organelles which divide the lumen of mitochondria into two compartments. One is outer compartment and second one is inner compartment. For example, how means we will here, for example, see one membrane and another membrane. See, these two are what? Double membrane of mitochondria. This double membrane of mitochondria which divide this lumen into two aqueous space. So in which the space between these two membrane, here I am writing, the space between here we have peri space and it is the outer compartment. It comes as a outer compartment. So outer compartments is perimitochondrial space. And the inner side, this inner compartment is filled with homogeneous substance. This completely which is inner compartment which is filled with a dense homogeneous substances. This homogeneous substances is said to be as a matrix. So the inner compartment is called matrix, and here the outer compartment is called perimitochondrial space. So likewise, this double membrane bound cell organelle mitochondria which divide the lumen into two compartment. So the outer compartment is perimitochondrial space, the inner mitochondrial is matrix. So here right answer is matrix. Okay, right. So here the in a double membrane we have like outer nuclear mitochondrial membrane and inner mitochondrial membrane. So this inner mitochondrial membrane has some infolded like structures. See, this inner mitochondrial membrane has like some infolded like structures. Now this infolded like structure of inner mitochondrial membrane is called cristae. It's called cristae, or this cristae contain oxysome or F0, F1 particles, and this cristae helps to increase the surface area, and this cristae present towards the matrix only. They present towards the matrix. So this is all about the mitochondrial inner membrane structures, and this inner membrane which enclose this what? See, this inner membrane enclose the inner compartment, that is called matrix. So right answer is matrix.